cavalcade of circular motion, thus defined by the octagon table of double-wide mental introspection, and dedicated utilitarian outward thinking in defense of zero content. Translation: we ain't got nothing. Hey folks, Dude here, coming yet again, another occasion of Dude After Dark, and it's going to be probably some cat fighting in the background because, well, Milo's being Milo. So we have cat fights in the background, and, well, I'm now trying to not be majorly distracted, but appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight. Of course, good stuff like that there, and well, let's see what we got coming down the pike. We're down the pipe, as it were. Give me about 2 seconds here. And we are back after breaking up yet another cat fight. And it didn't sound particularly nice, but it is what it is. And, living with a house full of cats, sometimes you have cat fights. Especially for an obnoxious juvenile picking on the old guys. All right, so looking at things as it is, as it stands, and as it were. Oh, my stars and garters. Holy crap. Very occasional. I appreciate you coming by. Good stuff like that there. Sorry for the break in the beginning there. Unfortunately, it was just me having to try to break up a cat fight. I really pretty much broke up as soon as I stood up and went around the corner. Milo was like, "Oh crap, they're coming for me because I'm being naughty." Yes, he's being naughty. He's particularly good at being naughty. And then, of course, he runs off like a little chicken because he knows he's being bad. Trying to throw a little more light on the subject. Maybe a little bit better. It's a little better. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm not going to play with camera settings because that usually just goes to pot when I start doing it. Coming down the pike yet again. Oh, my stars and garters has really stepped on it this time. I'm saying that it's no great example of stupidity, but when yeah, he really steps into majorly a huge, big, stinking pile of. Yeah, and how, but anybody else can do it except for Joe Kaka. But man, I'll tell you what.
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
Yes. How bad did, well, Joe Kaka messed things up? He messed it up majorly, okay? So much so that he actually pissed off one of our longest, most earnest, best compatriots, buddies in the worst of times. Yeah, Joe Kaka pissed off the French. Wow. I mean, that, oh, wow. This is coming in from AP News, and oh my stars and garters, I cannot do anything to justice here except please say what it is. Yeah, but France has recalled its ambassadors to the U.S. and Australia over what they refer to as the sub deal. Anyway, what this is this is going to be a little persnickety thing from, well, our oldest ally coming from the AP, and this is posting from Paris. Oh, my stars and garters. Patron Fever, appreciate you coming by tonight. But anyway, reading this in from the article, apnews.com, article, France recalls ambassadors, U.S., Australia, submarines, and then some number gibberish. This one being posted up on, let's see, September 17th. So, America's oldest ally, France, recalled its ambassadors to the United States on Friday in an unprecedented show of anger that dwarfs decades of previous rifts. Oh, man. The relationship conceived in the 18th century revolutions appeared at a tipping point after the U.S., Australia, and Britain shunned France in creating a new Indo-Pacific security arrangement. Yeah, this is the first time ever France has recalled its ambassadors to the U.S. According to the French Foreign Ministry, Paris has also recalled its envoy to Australia. Translation, they pretty much said, oh no, you Americans, you Australians, and you British, you've done such things. Oh, you had pieced us off in no uncertain terms. We will carry home and we'll bring home our men and women. Probably not like that, but it tends to get very Pepe Le Pew on occasion here when Americans try to sound French. But Foreign Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian said in a written statement that the French decision on request from President Emmanuel Macron, quote, is justified by the exceptional seriousness of the announcements, quote, made by Australia and the United States. He said Australia's decision to scrap a big French conventional submarine purchase in favor of nuclear subs built in the U.S. technology, quote, is unacceptable behavior between allies and partners. Okay, here's what it comes down to. We make nuke subs. The French make pretty decent subs on their own accord, but it was a situation where a conventional sub, well, if you know anything about old versus new technology, old technology, if you know anything about submarines, an electric submarine is probably even quieter than a nuclear submarine. The thing is, though, is that you need some way to generate the power to put along under the water for an extended period. Or, oh yeah, the batteries run flat. You run out of juice. And, oh, yeah, you got to run up to the surface and run a generator to charge the batteries back up. Well, they've come up with newer technology, and there's actually some technology out right now that has some really, really quiet stuff. As a matter of fact, I think it's the Norwegians or the Swedes came up with a submarine that is just so flipping quiet. They literally snuck up under one of our convoys and pretend shot down one of our aircraft carriers. So the technology is out there to get stuff really, 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 really quiet. That's conventional. You're basically using something to generate electricity and run electric motors to go along in the water. Now, nuclear subs can be kind of quiet too. However, a nuclear submarine basically does technology in the good old ways of running a steam engine. It's just you're not burning coal, you're not burning wood. It's still basically an external combustion engine generating heat to make steam, which then turns turbines, which spins the prop. Runs the generators, makes electricity, cracks water so you have water to drink, and of course makes enough oxygen for you to survive for extended periods on land. Now, the thing about it is the major limiting factor for any submarine technology, and you can talk to anybody in the Navy or anybody that's ever been in the world's oceans or anybody anywhere or knows anything about a submarine basically is a bottle of stuff. It's cruising through the water. The means of propulsion really is irrelevant. The thing that runs out first is, oh yeah, stuff to feed the people. That's the limiting factor on any submarine at this point in time, is not merely the fact that you need to generate power and run the thing around quietly, is you need to have some way to feed the crew for an extended period because, oh yeah, people need to eat. So the conventional submarine essentially is a power generator of which you're going to use either a fuel cell, or that's like the really sneaky quiet one I think the Swedes or the Norwegians used, or it's going to be a diesel electric setup. So what happens normally is, this is not new technology. This is stuff they've been using for time and eternal, World War II and onward. And you basically have a submarine pop up, runs the diesel generators, charges up the batteries, goes, oh yeah, time to be sneaky, goes back underwater, runs on the batteries for a while, or can do like a hybrid car and can run the diesel and the batteries for a burst of speed to go and tear ass along the top of the water. But that's not what submarines are built to do. Submarines are actually built to be very quiet things in the water that sneak up on something and go, oh yeah, hi, and you get the high by getting the torpedo up your ass. So anyway, that's a conventional submarine. A nuclear submarine separates itself in the very, very expensive execution thereof of having a nuclear reactor to produce the power to run the generators or to run the steam that spins everything up and makes the thing run around. Now, nuke subs can be really, really quiet, but they're not nearly as quiet as a battery electric submarine or a fuel cell battery electric submarine or the other technology that people have come up with. And this is absolutely freaking bonkers, is a liquid oxygen diesel underwater run submarine where they take the exhaust, they compress it, they store it for later, and then when they pop them out of the water, they basically go and they fart this big cloud of extrusion. Then they go back underwater and putt along some more. Now, supposedly, those liquid oxygen diesel vessels are insanely quiet. I mean, like bordering on like, you basically tune a diesel in such a way that it doesn't knock, rattle, and make as much noise. It's bordering on the electric ones to be very, very quiet. The fuel cell ones are actually even quieter than that. Now, I've heard it jokingly referred to that are, I think they're the oh, I forget the class now, but basically are attack submarines. It's like the state name subs. I forget which one's which, but anyway, so the state name sub of which we have, which is our attack sub, they literally refer to it as the quiet spot in the water where they don't know what's there. It's so quiet, in fact, that even we can't track it, and the sub captain has to pop up every so often to a certain depth where he can use the ultra ridiculously low frequency transmitters that actually do function underwater, and he can basically touch base, go, hey, I'm still in the ocean. I'm in this general vicinity around here. I'm not going to tell you specifically, but I'm around this area right about now, and everything's still fine. And they go, okay, cool, keep doing what you're doing. And he basically pops back down, continues staying quiet until he runs out of food, or his shift is over and he goes back to shore. Because 3 months underwater for an extended period, even for a submariner, probably gets a little boring after a while, okay? You're basically talking Groundhog Day of basically working a nuclear submarine. There's probably not a whole hell of a lot to do except for drills, fire drills, maintaining your discipline to know how to do stuff by muscle memory and just doing stuff correctly. And that's how stuff works in that one. Now, what happened with France is France was selling either a submarine or several submarines or a bunch of submarines, and they're going to make scads and scads and scads of cash. And for some reason, they got the rug pulled out from under them because, oh yeah, they said, hey, let's buy these Yanks subs that run on nuclear power. Well, there's actually a couple of things that tend to work pretty good for nuke subs. Number one, they could drive around for about 20 years before they need to be refueled. That's huge. Number two, they make scads of power. Number three, they are not cheap. Your standard price of a basic nuke sub, it's like $1 billion. They're not cheap. Okay, so conventional submarines you could put together like 2 or 3 of those things for the price of like one of those nuke subs. And the technology is such is that it's about 5/8 as good. A nuke sub actually has the huge things of longevity of being underwater for a really, really, really long ass time. And the simple case of it really, truly doesn't run out of gas. It doesn't need to refuel. And of course, the only thing that's a limiting factor for a nuclear submarine in any extreme is always going to be how much food can you carry on board. Now, I've heard it expressed when a nuke sub rolls out and they have that thing packed to the gills, there's 3 levels of food that they go through. Number one, they're eating all the fresh food they can possibly suck down because they know it's going to go bad first. Number two is the frozen items because the freezers are packed full, but there's only so much freezer that you're going to have on a submarine that is composed of a donut with a smaller tube in the middle comprising the pressure vessel and the people area. So literally, you look at something that's the size of like one of those submarines and it's this big black tube. You're like, wow, that thing's absolutely massive. Not really. When it comes down to the actual area that you have like 120 people in, it actually is the area of maybe like 2 school buses, nuts to butts. Literally. CLUS sounds like they shouldn't grow rooms. Jeez. Oh, man. So anyway, essentially what it is that's always the limiting factor. And of course, now the French are pissed because the submarine sale didn't happen. So they didn't get the moolah and they're now not happy. And of course, they're now pissed off because probably it was some kind of, backroom deal where the French are like, yeah, man, we're going to make some bucks off of these guys. We're going to put these things over the curb. We're going to be, making some money. And it didn't happen. And they're like, why didn't it happen? Yeah. He said, Australia's decision to scrap a big French conventional submarine purchase in favor of nuclear subs with U.S. technology, unacceptable behavior between allies and partners. Follow the money, folks. They just wanted to get the sales, okay? Follow the money. Ambassador Philippe Etienne tweeted the announcements are, quote, directly affecting the vision we have of our alliances, of our partnerships, and the importance of the Indo-Pacific for Europe. Okay, this is going to be one of those. I'm gonna have to be snarky. Thor's hammer. Hey, French guys, you would be speaking German right now or Russian right now if it wasn't for us killing our people off to save yours. Stop being a-holes. This is one you're not going to win. Be pissed off, be not happy about it, but in the long view, if you try to strike out on your own, the Maginot Line didn't stop the Germans, but for them to go, oh yes, this trip is going to take us a little longer. We need to drive around here, and we go around here, and we'll be over there only in about another 4 hours of driving time. It's no problem. Yeah, French territory is a mother father, and that's putting it expressly about as nicely as I can. There's only about a few ways you could actually approach France on land. Dude, you're surrounded by water on 3 sides. It's not hard to get to France, okay? You guys are about as secure as like Britain is if you're talking about a water assault. Drop the dude. You're not going to win this one. Sorry. You're pissed off. I get it. But bringing your guys home and going, oh, no, this is completely unacceptable. You're not going to win this one, all right? Sale use, like grow rooms. Oh, grow rooms like hydroponics. CLUS, here's the problem, dude. On a submarine, literally, like I said, 120 people, 2 school buses, nuts to butts. That's your entire area inside a nuclear submarine for the people. Now, think about this long and hard. You have something about the size of 2 school buses, okay? Outside the 2 school buses, put about 3 feet of airspace and put a wall around it. Okay, now make that wall, I don't know, maybe about 400, 500, 700, 900 feet long. That's the rest of the submarine. Comprising that is going to be either the missile silo tubes, which is referred to jokingly as the forest, because you're walking down there and just like in Red October, all you're seeing is missile tubes pointing up everywhere, or on an attack submarine, it's a lot more bitty and you have missile tubes, 3 of them or 4 of them, or you have torpedo tubes fore and aft. Remember, I said attack submarine. Or you have those other retrofit units that are really, really cool, and they have these areas on top that basically look like, pretty much like somebody bolted about another quarter of a piece of submarine on top of that on the conning tower. And what that is, oh yeah, that's the seal tube. Yes. That's where they put the seals. The seals get to work out before they actually get to the area which they're engaging. Then they have a dry dock area where they go out, swim to shore, blow things up, kill things, come back to the boat and go, yeah, that was fun, guys. Can we go back home now? Yeah, that's kind of the insertion stuff that they're playing with right now. So anyway, scrolling. Okay, I'm not going to quote that exactly, okay? The administration has been in close contact with French officials about the decision to recall Etienne to Paris, the National Security Council spokesperson Emily Horn said. Quote, we understand their position and will continue to be engaged in the coming days to resolve our differences as we have done at other points over the course of our long alliance, she said in a statement. Quote, France is our oldest ally and one of our strongest partners, and we share a long history of shared democratic values and a commitment to working together to address global challenges. Guys, follow the money. They're pissed off, but the French are not going to be like, we'll just rely on somebody else because, we can take on the entire world by ourselves. Dude, not even if the Foreign Legion was 50 million strong, okay? You have an indefensible, completely undefinably open area, which to say this is France. You are not going to stop anybody from walking over the line if they really, truly choose to do so, okay? Patriot Fever. You think about it, if they had 20 years of powerful lights, plants, respiring, producing O2, unlimited water. Well, yeah, that's the major thing for a nuke sub. That's the selling point. Yes, it's expensive on the outset. But you ain't buying gas for the thing and worrying about, oh no, it's only gone 3,000 miles. Oh, we better hook up with the convoy because, yeah, dude's been running deep and fast for a long time. He sucked his tanks dry. That was a major problem they had with any submarine back in World War II. It was not the fact that it couldn't go deep enough. It's the fact the gas tanks weren't big enough. When you start talking loiter time of 3, almost 4 months of underwater activity where you don't know where the hell it is, that is something that you simply can't track. That's a nuke submarine. And that's the thing that really truly gives pause to the Russians, the Chinese, and all these guys in Dirtbagistan that get snarky saying that they're going to XYZ and PDQ. It's like, yeah, but if you really truly get too obnoxious about it, we could park an attack sub off your shore and have 24 missile tubes launching off in your way in about 5 minutes. Yeah. With extended range. Very extended range. Let's see. Scroll. State Department spokesman Ned Price also stressed the value the U.S. places on its relationship with France and expressed hope that talks between the two sides will continue in the coming days, including at the United Nations General Assembly next week. I don't see that working real good at all. Macron, however, for the first time he came into office in 2017, 19 almost, he won't be making a speech at an annual meeting of world leaders. Le Drian will instead address the French address. The Australian government said it regretted France's decision to recall its ambassador to the nation. Quote, Australia understands France's deep disappointment with our decision, which was taken in accordance with our clear and communicated national security interests. Foreign Minister Maurice Payne's office said in a statement, it had Australia about a relationship with France and look forward to future engagements together. Translation, let's blow stuff up and kill people. They really, really could have expressed that better. It goes on and on and on and on because it's an AP story. It just goes on and on and on. So, short version, France is pissed. They didn't sell the subs. Australia, and they're well within their rights to go, yeah, we've decided not to buy these things. Sorry, guys, it wasn't written in blood. And if it was written in blood, you'll get over it, okay? Sorry. But yeah, Joe Kaka. Man, oh man, Joe Kaka. He is consistent, okay? Speaking of consistent, oh, Jesus. He's at it again because we all know that, well, he's going to step in it real often because he's going to look at the camera and go, I said that.
It was at this moment that he knew he f***ed up.
Yeah. So what did he do this time, folks? Well, it seems that there's a case now of a bunch of military guys, and we're not just talking any military guys. Oh, no. We're talking about the U.S. Navy SEALs, okay? We're not just talking about a bunch of wimpy guys that really just, they put on the uniform and they basically, jump around and make a blah, blah, blah. They put on the fake blah, blah, blah notions. No, we're talking about U.S. Navy SEALs. Well, I was more Marine Corps, but sure. Okay. Yeah, definitely. So the Navy SEALs, hundreds of Navy SEALs are told if they don't get the jab, they will not deploy. Well, if you do anything like that to a Navy SEAL, the first thing you're going to get, you're probably going to get some resistance because the first thing they're going to say is, look, dude, I've been training my ass off to be damn near an Olympic or better than Olympic level of physical maintenance and ability. You're going to put this crud in me and ruin this body? I don't think so, dude. I really don't think so. And that seems to be the biggest problem that most of these guys really, truly don't understand in the civilian side of things is the more elite military you go, the more you have guys that really, truly are just scary, smart individuals, physically, like upper, beyond upper echelon. And really, those are the guys you could put into bad situations and they will resolve it for a very good reason is, yes, they are that good. So, this is coming in from conservativebrief.com. Hundreds of U.S. Navy SEALs on the verge of being undeployable because they're refusing a Pentagon order to take the COVID-19 vaccine, according to a lawyer representing some of them. R. Davis Younts, Rounts, a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force Reserve, is a military lawyer representing several special operators as private attorney, has indicated that a number of the SEALs involved represents about 1/4 of the nearly 2,500 members of the elite fighting force. Now, that 2,500 number, that's not real, okay? They're not going to tell you exactly how many they have, and they're not going to ever tell you how many are physically on one side of the country, other side of the country, and all over the rest of the planet in staging areas ready to take the fight to the bad guys, okay? So that 2,500 number, sounds good. A loss of so many special operators who are on the verge of being placed in a non-deployable status would severely cripple military readiness because special forces troops in all the branches, quote, play an outsized role in modern military operations, end quote, just the news reported. Some of the SEALs were told they had until this week to get the COVID jab, leading them to claim a religious exemption since they were out of time to try to find another workaround, Yout said. Remember that part where I said, like, smart, physically just scary, able to go in, do things, and make it stuff happen? Yeah, they think outside the box. That's how they function. Quote, my clients include several Navy SEALs who are a small part of a large group of SEALs and other military members who are being asked to choose between their faith and their ability to serve our nation. They've been told that if they seek a religious accommodation, they will no longer be allowed to serve our country, as Navy SEALs have been given an arbitrary deadline to comply with the vaccine mandate. That alone gives reason for these guys to say, you know what? No. I don't fight for God, king, and country. I fight pretty much for God, family, and country. Okay? Put it in perspective. I'm not going to do something that stupid as to, and place myself in a situation where the body goes to pot because you guys are playing politics. Let's see. Scroll. Quote, my clients need time, and we're asking at least a 90-day extension of vaccine mandate compliance deadline to be given. Reports say it'd take at least a year and up to $500,000 each to train a SEAL among the U.S. military's most elite operators. Now, of that, there's actually 3 groups of those guys that really, truly are completely unique. Obviously, you have the SEALs. You hear about those guys a little bit. You will never hear about their mission status. You will never hear about the missions they've done. And you will truly, ever, never hear anything of which they blew up, killed, or did in the process, unless it becomes a policy item in such a way that they really, truly just want to become public. Like, basically, the guy that got Osama bin Laden. Okay, now they're I don't know if they were to say they're a tip of the spear, but they're uniquely tasked to do things in a certain way that only SEALs can do. Secondly, you have Delta Force, and you never hear about Delta Force. In fact, they don't even identify themselves as Delta Force. They identify themselves as another euphemism in the Army, and those guys are like ghosts, okay? Lastly, you have the Green Berets. The Green Berets, and I know a couple of Green Berets, and they don't go, hey, man, I'm a Green Beret. I walk around with blouse boots because I'm a Green Beret. No, they don't even make mention of that, other than the fact they were in the Green Beret battalions, and they don't talk about their jobs, okay? Stephen Albers, preacher's coming by, dude. So let's see. Scroll. Attorney said the Defense Department has put an ultimatum in writing that the SEALs who are not vaccinated, including any who have received religious exemption or have natural immunity, have been contacted. The virus already will not be able to deploy with their assigned teams, which will eventually end their careers as special operators. Just the news added. Pastor Jeff Durbin, a prominent anti-abortion activist and evangelical pastor from Arizona, has been ministering to the special operators for several weeks as they navigated decisions that between 1/4 to 1/3 of all active duty Navy SEALs are involved in the dispute with the Pentagon, including some who have already had COVID-19 immunity because they've recovered from the disease. Quote, there are hundreds of Navy SEALs who have been vaccinated, do not want to take the vaccine, or have had and recovered from COVID and have the benefit of natural immunity, Durbin told Just the News. Quote, A large number of SEALs I'm speaking to on behalf are facing a very difficult decision, or without even with the legitimate religious exemption that is based upon the commitment to Christ, the gospel, God's law, and the Constitution. They will no longer be Navy SEALs. Quote, they are essentially being asked to make a decision between their commitments to the Lordship of Christ and their careers as Navy SEALs. Our country should be very concerned about what this will do to military readiness. Losing hundreds of Navy SEALs because of legitimate and sincerely held Christian belief could be devastating to us as a nation, Durbin continued. It goes on a little further, but that's it in its nutshell. Anytime you basically start trying to play politics with special operators, it doesn't work. Case in point, you can look at the very simple, easy thing is, oh, yeah, it's going to be the guy like, oh, I don't know, the governor of Florida. Now, technically, I don't know if he's done UDT training and all, EOD and all the rest of that fun stuff, but he does carry the Budweiser, which is, the Trident, basically the Navy SEAL pendant. He carries that because he was one of their guys acting as their legal representative. And I guarantee you, there's stuff that he knows he can't talk about. He has all kinds of non-disclosure stuff and high security clearances and don't talk about it. Because if you want to talk about some of the most secured positions in the U.S. military, it is the Navy SEALs. It is the special operators. It's going to be the Green Berets, the Delta guys. Any of those guys have been in situations they literally cannot talk about and probably never, ever will be able to talk about until the day in which, they basically pass on to, the great whatever, because they have signed non-disclosure and they have secrecy oaths that they cannot talk about what they've done. Let's see, scroll. Another one, I cannot begin to tell you how much this kind of tickles me in just a little bit, but supposedly, this is yet another one of, I cannot begin to tell you how many times this has been happening this week, but has also pissed off the press in the United States. Oh, man. I mean, he basically walked up to the lectern and said, I'm not going to say squat to you guys.
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
Yep, he did, because he is. Yeah, just. He's just caca. He's caca, okay? So the White House reporters have filed a formal complaint against Joe Caca for refusing to answer questions. Okay, you know what? I could read this article. It's dailywire.com, and you'll get the whole gist of it within about 10 seconds of reading. This is the part you always have to insist when you're consulting somebody that's like, yeah, well, Trump was blah, blah, blah. It's like, your guy is doing the stuff that you always insisted that Trump was going to do. Remember, you asked for this. You asked for this. Fervently, absolutely, totally, blithely, blindly, completely, and absolutely, you insisted that Orange Man is bad and Cheeto has to go. And Small Hands is the guy you got to get out of the White House. So you have to insert a 78-year-old bubble-headed moron who really doesn't know what's going on and which end of the tube the round comes out. Remember, you guys asked for this. Always. I'm going to keep reminding you. I'm going to keep reminding you guys. You asked for this. This one I thought was hilarious. Also, Stardom Young. Yeah, Stardom Young. I got to clean this up because I really got snarky on Gab with this one. But there was a 23-year-old who got elected as a mayor of Fall River, Massachusetts. And how can I say this without saying this? I mean, how can I say this? A Democrat was, okay, he's now in trouble for corruption. Is it ever a surprise? Is it ever a surprise? It's not a surprise. No, 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 it isn't. Nope, 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 nope.
Meep, meep.
No, meep, meep. Yeah. Okay. So, former Democrat mayor of Fall River, Massachusetts, got some terrible news from a judge today. This is coming from Republican Daily, and was sentenced to 6 years in prison after being convicted of corruption. JCL Correa was a rising star to Dem Party after being elected mayor when he was just 23 years old. But the power went to his head, and I have 6 long years to think about it. He was convicted of taking bribes from marijuana companies trying to open shops in his town. He tried to extort money from these businesses. He tried to extort money from these businesses. A corrupt act the U.S. District Judge Douglas P. Warlock called, quote unquote, reprehensible. What I have before me is an absolute lack of remorse, said Woodlock before calling his corrupt scheme a corrosive crime. It undercuts and eviscerates the community. If we can't trust each other, if we can't trust the government, where are we? This is the core of who we are. City Hall was for sale, Judge Woodlock added before he dropped the hammer with a 6-year sentence. The defense had asked for 3 years. No, I don't, dude. When you're getting that kind of a treatment from the judge, you're not gonna get
Death! By snoo snoo!
No, you're not gonna get that. You're gonna get yeah, you're most definitely not gonna get
Snoo snoo!
no, you're not gonna get snoo snoo. You are gonna get wee. Yeah. Oh man. Stephen Albers in the room said, fiance called me Uncle Joe after I lost the lower receiver for an SPR build, and then while trying to have a conversation with her, knock in a roll pill, I broke the trigger guard ear. There is fixes for that, dude. Don't even worry about there. There is fixes for that. I've seen people do like JB Weld, or there's a grip that's made by a company called Stern, I think. Hang on a second here. I'll find that for you. No. Okay, I would probably have to go and terrorize like one of my older videos. Oh man, what the heck was that grip name? Hang on a second. I will find this for you, and I will give you a link because I know there's a fix. It might not be the most wondrous of things for you, but I do know that there is a workaround. Hang on a second here. I will find this. Okay, Daniel Defense makes one. Yeah, here we go. Stark. There's a Stark grip. Here we go. And it really isn't that dependent on the fact if you do have the ears or not. Hang on a second. Let me throw you a link here. Okay, now I rock one of these things on a couple of my stuff, and if you need to, you could always go with that guy right there. Okay, so that's a Optics Planet link, but truthfully, you'll go. As long as you know what you're looking for, you can find it. I don't know if PSA will actually do that for you. If it is broken through user error, you could actually contact them and say, look, can you crush this one and render me a new one with the same serial number? And potentially they could do it like that. And then that would be an instant fix, or maybe not an instant fix, but they crush the one, they give you another one with the proper number, and then it is a retrofit. And obviously you'd have to pay them for shipping and the purchase price of a new one, but that might be a workaround without having to go through all the paperwork and obtain another one. I don't know how things work in your locale, but that might be a fix. I don't think that was ding sound guy, okay? Sometimes he just rolls off the rails, folks. Anyway, so basically Korea, it's Cooria, Korea. he even looks like a little dirtbag. He kind of looks like a dirtbag. Okay, he did it to himself. I don't know if you guys saw this one or not, but there's a video out where Joe Kaka was getting ready to answer a question. All his handlers were like, and they just literally shouted down the reporters, chased out the reporters, and then the rest of the story, to use the Paul Harvey phrase, the rest of the story was that the Indian guy that he was talking to, he's like, probably we should just, listen to your news guys because my news guys won't ask the questions I want them to ask. What? Wait, what? What? No. Talk about corruption, man. Let's see. I don't know if you guys saw this one or not. I cannot do this justice, but I gotta play this one. AOC, you.
I'm juggling thunder.
Yeah, and I really want to play the uncut version, but she's a juggling thunder meow of the highest order. Supposedly, after they rammed it through for the money to be supplied to Israel to rebuild for the Iron Dome after all the crap that they've been dealing with from the Palestinians, AOC was on the floor just getting money. The Jews will be able to defend themselves. You evil, nasty. If there was ever a time I wanted to curse and call her a CUN Toledo, this was just such an occasion. Crying because Israel is being funded to defend itself from people lobbing all kinds of munitions into their land and doing extremely minimal response. Trust me, folks, if it came down to the point where Israel was like, you know what, this Palestinian thing is just too much of us to dare. We really just are tired of these guys, and we're going to have to fix things. It would literally take Israel about 4 days, and Palestinian would be a smoking ruin, and they would be able to take back the Gaza with no issue at all. Trust me, if it came down to that and the Merkavas were rolling around and basically blasting everything in sight, it would be no big fight at all for them to take that place over completely. It is a false narrative that has been foisted upon the world's audience for the Palestinians to be these long-suffering people because the Jews are so bad to them. They force themselves to live in ghetto squalor because it looks bad in the world stage. They have areas that the Israelis have built for them that are maybe not palatial, but they're nice. They literally have built them neighborhoods for which to move into. They literally have bent over backwards, given them land, try to be nice at every opportunity to simply say, look, we just want to live beside you. Just, stop screwing with us. But unfortunately, because they're Jews in an Arab area, the Arabs are like, dude, no, we got to screw with you. Especially the Palestinians, because the more trouble they stir up, the more money they generate, the more their head guys can cash in on that one while not helping their own people. It's been well established that the Palestinian leaders really don't give two craps about their own guys. They just want to get the cash. But AOC, see you in Toledo. Huge. Gaping, nasty, stinky, icky, crunchy. AOC and Ram should not be in the same sentence. Yeah. I could think of a few things to ram with her. Let's see. But again, speaking of that man who does things amazingly in Florida, we're talking about Governor DeSantis. Carries the trident because he's one with the SEALs. Anyway, so Biden cut, and this is also coming from Republican Daily, but trident-wearing guy that he is, he ain't afraid to take the fight back to the guy who gave it to him. So DeSantis comes through from Florida. This is coming from Republican Daily, like I said, after Biden cut the monoclonal antibody treatment supply. So He basically said, I'm going to deny you because you're a denier. I'm going to deny you as well. Well, quote, the HHS, Health and Human Services, I guess, will determine the amount of product each state and territory receives on a weekly basis. State and territory health departments will subsequently identify sites that will receive product and how much, the spokesperson said. The system will help maintain equitable distribution both geographically and temporally across the country, providing states and territories with a consistent, fairly distributed supply over the coming weeks. You know what? If I really, really, really wanted to curse before about AOC, I really, really, really want to curse about this one because this is a huge stinking pile of Bravo Sierra. Yeah, stinking huge pile of Bravo Sierra. Biden officials said this week about quote unquote equitable distribution to states. What this ended up doing was cutting the amount of treatment that Florida needed, as well as cutting the supply to some other of the red states. Oh, no, this is going to be equitable and fair completely. Yeah, it will be completely above board. Christina Pashaw, Governor Ron DeSantis' press secretary, blasted decision. Florida's at Gov. Ron DeSantis, not happy with Poe decision. Take over the distribution of monoclonal antibodies. Statement from DeSantis, press sec, and Christina Pashaw below. And this is coming from Forrest Saunders. Quote, we are happy to see that Biden's COVID plan announced last week included a 50% increase in monoclonal antibody deliveries to states this month. So it's surprising and deeply disappointing that the Kaka administration would break this promise just a week later and cut MAB allocation to Florida so that they aren't even providing half of the doses of life-saving treatment that COVID patients in Florida may need. But the governor is committed to, hang on a second, it's a long one. Governor is committed to ensuring that everyone who needs the treatment will be able to get it, even if that doesn't count on the Biden administration. So, what did DeSantis do? Well, because he went directly to the guys who make the monoclonal. Yes. He has obtained additional doses of monoclonal antibody treatments for counterbalance. The federal government reduced the supply that they provided because he went directly to the guys who make it. This is how you do things. You just look at them and go, that's nice, excuse me. And you walk around them and you do it yourself. That's the way you solve problems in the military. If you're a special forces guy, you just simply go, yeah, that's nice. I'm not dealing with that crap. If you guys ever saw Black Hawk Down and you see the one guy who's like a D guy, like, Delta Force, and he walks in the line, and he's like basically like grabbing food. And the other guy's like, hey, man, there's a line here. He goes, yeah, I know. And I'm just getting this and I'm going to be out of here. He's like, he really doesn't even directly interrogate with the guy. It's just like, yeah, that's nice. I just need to get some food. That's just the way they do stuff. So anyway, he actually also pissed off the Indian prime minister by, pulling that same, you got to talk to the news guys because they don't want to. No, I'm not even going to get into that one. But anyway, this one is very, very interesting. I don't know if you guys caught up on this one or not. This is definitely a very interesting news story. This one also coming from patriotalerts.com, but supposedly Black Lives Matter turns on the Democrats. You see, that's the problem when you're a Black American and you turn on the Democrats or you do your own thing to the Democrats. You become an Oreo, an Uncle Tom, a House N-word, or any of these other diminutive terms that they can utilize to say, hey, how come you off the reservation there, slave? Yeah. American blacks need to realize that the party of Lincoln never left them. They left the party of Lincoln and became suck-ups to the Democrats. And oh yeah, the Democrats were using them simply as a voting block, giving them crumbs and going, yeah, just come back to us every 4 years. We'll give you a little bit more. We'll give you a little bit more. We'll give you just enough, so that you're begging, pleading, and carrying on. We'll blame the Republicans the whole time, but we'll be the ones jacking with you, giving you crumbs and saying, how much we're enabling you, giving you crumbs. Yeah. So anyway, co-founder of the Black Lives Matter group in New York is warning of an uprising, just like the George Floyd riots last year over the Democrats' oppressive vaccine mandates that strongly impact Black Americans. The leader, Chavona Newsom, led a protest at Carmine's Italian restaurant in New York City on Monday after 3 Black women were denied entry because of the failure to provide proof of vaccination. The women then reportedly attacked the hostess and then were arrested. Well, if you're doing stuff like that and you're that pejorative and you're that aggressive, duh, you're going to get busted, okay? There's better ways to do it. You should have had a crowd of 50 people walk in there and saying that they were unvaccinated and saying they all would like to eat. And then once the restaurant refused to serve you, then you would be able to hoist them by their own petard, following the rules rendered by a stupid liberal. I really want to cuss again. Mayor and governor of New York City and state. 72% of black people in the city from the ages 18 to 44 are unvaccinated, Newsom said during the protest. So what is going to stop the Gestapo, I mean the NYPD, from rounding up black people, from snatching them off the trains, off the bus? We're putting the city on notice that your mandate will not be another racial social distance practice. Translation, segregation. Sound familiar? Black people are not going to stand by, or you will see another uprising. And that is not a threat. That is a promise, she added. The vaccination passport is not a free passport to racism. Well, it's not a free passport to basically have a second-class citizen either. So it's not just you, BLM guys. You basically are the tip of the spear, making trouble for the liberals now in any way, shape, and form that they really, truly now have to defend themselves against being, dare I say it? Could I actually get my jollies by saying the phrase justly, justifiably, completely, and absolutely, indelibly? Could it be the Democrats are now racist? Oh, man, I just got to throw up my leg like that guy in the newsroom. The Black Women's March co-founder Kimberly Bernard said, quote, "We're serving notice on the mayor, on the governor, on the restaurant industry. We will not allow for you to use this pandemic vaccination cards and masks as another reason to be racist, to put us in prison because there's enough of us in there." I got to use the classic phrase from Lethal Weapon. Oops. 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 Big building explosion. Oops. Yeah, oops. According to the attorney for one of the black women that was involved in the incident, the hostess used a racial slur. Okay, you know what? It doesn't matter what the hostess said, okay? You guys stuck your snoots in, and you basically have now made it really, really well known that no, it's a second class undertone. Yeah. Last week's violence against our staff had nothing to do with race. No, nothing to do with race. Despite a Texas criminal defense lawyer's false assertions to the contrary, the restaurant said. 3 female deaths at the party were shown proof of vaccination, then welcomed to the restaurant without issue, then launched an entirely unprovoked brutal attack on our host, one of whom continues to suffer from a concussion. You know, there's always that classic line that they use in any form of a legal dispute. You know, there's the one side of the story, there's the other side of the story, then there's the truth. So you have two sides that are giving completely disparate versions of the same story. There has to be an impartial thing in between going, yeah, this is what really happened, which would probably be like, oh, I don't know, like the camera shooting the scene and potentially somebody running around with their camera, their camera phone going, I got the whole thing. Yeah, that would be one of those occasions where, you could know literally what that truth. Hopefully that comes out and everybody finds out what really happened. But anyway, it is a interesting thing where now the Democrats have to defend their racist undertones. Dred Scott, KKK, segregation. Sit at the back of the bus. Vaccination cards. Remember, folks, the KKK was the of the Democrat Party pre-Civil War. Yeah. And afterwards, staunch Democrats. Staunch. President Biden's support among black Americans is quickly plummeting as they are waking up to his racist policies. I cannot do this justice, folks. I just can't. Oh man, it goes on and on and on. Wow. Just wow. That's all I got. Just wow. Anybody here in China? Anybody in China in the room? Anybody coming by in China? Well, yeah, Mr. Chinese guy, you are completely hosed now. How hosed are you? Well, let's just say that this is coming from howtogeek.com. China now officially has banned Bitcoin in all cryptocurrency. So unless you're using the preferred blah, 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 you're hooked. The Chinese government is cracking down on Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. In a big step towards its anti-crypto plans, which started in May, the People's Bank of China has decided that crypto transactions are illegal and called for a formal ban of all Bitcoin and crypto transactions. Okay. If the Chinese were smart, and this is me waxing philosophic here. If the Chinese were smart, they would convert all their earnings into precious metals. And once they have sufficient amounts of precious metals, take the slow boat out of China. Yeah. China's also looking to rule out mining of digital assets. China officials are targeting crypto because of possible ties to fraud, money laundering, and excessive energy usage. Translate, no. What's really going on is they know for a fact that if there is crypto and it's so encrypted that they don't know what it is, they can't get their hooks in it. Exactly. They won't get a dime. They won't get a dime. Because that's one of those things that truly shuts them down is they simply just can't get called on these things. So when the money goes away and they can't get their hooks in it and it's encrypted, that is giving personal freedoms to people because, well, it's government money that, well, is no longer government money. It's personally held. Let's see. Looking over here in the room. Gatorade. I saw a guy on Facebook, the unvaxxed and Christian hiding for security for the unvaxxed or for the vaxxed. It was a dream. Had a class. John sent me a link. Drove to town. Card money. Order error sold out. Got some from Gun Broker, and a guy did for this and the other thing. The day paper money like Killer Factory. Well, the biggest thing is, I personally am a huge, and you can ask anybody that's ever dealt with me, like, going to gun shows and whatnot. I'm a huge fan of barter. For me to walk, through a gun show with a backpack full of stuff and a me ready to trade, I will trade. If I see something I like, it's like, look, dude, here's the deal. I could give you cash for this, or I could trade you something I got. And the guy goes, well, what do you got? And usually it's something I'm trading off, and they're like, yeah, well, no. I could be, oh yeah, I can use one of these. Like, okay, I'll tell you what. Can I get this and that? And the guy goes, well, that's a little bit. I'll throw you some cash. And the guy goes, okay, yeah, this, that, and X amount of funds. Blah 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 blah. Done. So basically, what it is there is I flipped something, and I generated some money for him, but not nearly as much as what the government thought he was going to generate. And dude now got a new what's it of which to, employ upon his own resolve to some way to either keep for his own goodies or sell off somebody else. Good stuff like that there. I've never been a fan of crypto. I've never been a fan of Bitcoin. And I think it's pretty much one of those things where if you decide to put your funds into it, don't put, okay? Put some money in there, maybe as a curiosity, maybe as like a fact-finding thing. But don't ever consider that Bitcoin or cryptocurrency is going to be like this huge money-making thing where you basically put it in there and it becomes like, because I did hear a story once, and this is one that I have with fairly good word on the street, sounds plausible. Supposedly, like one of the first guys in Bitcoin. It might be urban legend, but it sounds good. Guy gets in the Bitcoin. He's either one of the founders or he was one of the early guys. And he put his money in there, and he put some money in there. Like, I don't remember what the initial fund was, but, not a small amount of money. And, of course, Bitcoin was mined and grew and became more profitable and became worth more. So the story is that dude, godly amount of value, like, probably 100 million. Well, the thing about it is dude has that money sitting in limbo, right? It's now gathering funds for the mining. It's getting more valuable because, there is only but so many Bitcoins become more valuable because everybody owns a piece of the Bitcoin. So that piece of the Bitcoin has grown exponentially from, like, his initial investment to, like, stratospheric, and dude is worth scads of cash. Dude dies. Well, the key that dude had to access that Bitcoin went to the grave with him. So that Bitcoin is now ghost in the machine, growing in value into perpetuity that nobody can access ever. Stuff like that happens. So if that's also something else you got to think about it too, is you put all your money in Bitcoin, it grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. You kick off and you didn't tell anybody the key. Well, guess what? They ain't getting it because it's only going to grow. It's gone. It's virtual money that nobody now can access. It's in a computer somewhere being bounced around from server to server as virtual whatever. Yeah, you ain't getting it. I don't know if you guys caught up on this one, but supposedly Facebook, you have screwed the pooch big time. There is now a FC Facebook complaint. Facebook is now seen as a media entity. During the 2020 presidential elections, is coming from Amaland.com. Notice Facebook fact checkers making truthful articles about Kamala Harris's stance on the Second Amendment as false. Two articles in particular caught his attention. One piece from Cam Edwards that ran in Bearing Arms. The other article was from GOA of America, so Gun Owners of America. Texas's director Rachel Malone, and ran in the Houston Courant. The gist of both was that Harris doesn't believe in American individuals have the right to bear arms. Both reports cited an amicus brief filed by the landmark Heller case, written and signed by the vice presidential candidate. So basically, she's trying to say that the Heller case isn't worth the blood and effort that it was written with. In the amicus brief written by Harris's time as the chief attorney general, she argued that an individual does not have the right to bear arms. Malone and Edwards both use this amicus brief as a basis for their stories. When people share these stories on Facebook, the mega platform's non-U.S. based truth checkers, quote unquote, fact check both articles as false. Facebook placed a large overlay on top of the articles, redirected readers to the fact checker's own website. In this case, the fact checkers was the Alliance's French press. The AFP was a French government's funded news agency, and the AFP is run differently from organizations like PBS or NPR. While the governments fund all three, both PBS and NRP are independent of other governments. In the case of the AFP, the French government officials sit on the board and have direct control how the AFP make decisions. Quote, I worked on Facebook in the past. Walked away from the social media giant because of how far the government had drifted to the left of the political spectrum. Facebook started as a free speech platform, but changed over the years. I was employed there. I just couldn't be a part of what it became, so I walked away, but my time there gave me insight on how things worked. I knew a program and not a human, but had a robot hand in the flagging. Decided to experiment, see if the articles are triggered, false flags. Posted the original amicus brief with 0 comments, just a link to their official brief by itself. Immediately, Facebook marked it as false. So the Facebook talked about how it's snuffing out foreign election interference. Turned out the keys to the castle were the French government. Oops. Used my internal contacts, Facebook, to open a quote-unquote oops report. An oops report is an internal ticket that employees use when something is wrong. Also reached out to the tech giants, the press department, to get a comment on what I found. Instead of replying to me, the company deleted my Facebook account and banned me for life from the platform. Facebook did not give an explanation for the ban. They just deleted my account and informed me I was no longer welcome on the platform. My internal contacts opened another oops report to get my contact restored. It was denied and escalated to the highest levels possible. The answer was simple. Facebook would not fix my account, and I caught a lifetime ban. Quote, I use Facebook for 2 reasons. First, to keep in contact with my relatives in Europe. Those who don't know, I'm married to an Italian. Most of my wife's family lives in Sicily. Second reason is where I shared my articles on a vibrant community of pro-gun supporters. Both are now gone. Eventually, Facebook removed the false flag from the reports, but refused to lift the personal ban. In my official capacity as Virginia State Director of the GOA, I spoke to Rob Olson and Olson Law Firm about what happened. Rob Olson is a lead attorney for the GOA and the lawyer who argued the bump stock case in the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. He suggests I file a complaint with the FEC, Federal Election Commission. Facebook appeared to be protecting the Biden-Harris campaign. This monitoring and censoring of negative posts about the Biden campaign be unreported in-kind donation. I was interested, but GOA saw that Facebook was moving against program. Reporters decided to fund the complaint. For months, the complaint sat without response, but the Olson Law Firm is persistent about getting an answer. Recently, we got word the FEC ruled against our complaint, but now we have reason we have lost an official and final response found here. Federal Election Commission, FEC, MUR 7812, response letter complainant, John Crum, or Ray SOR, embedded below. Trump appointee and Federal Election Committee Commissioner Sean Cooksey determined that Facebook was exempt from campaign finance laws because he believed Facebook is a media entity, much like AmmoLand News or New York Times. To me, this determination doesn't make much sense. Facebook is a company that steadfastly maintains it is not a media entity and enjoys special protection under 47 U.S. Code, Section 230, protection for private blocking and screening of offensive material. Just like Google, it doesn't produce content. Milo. My cat is getting crazy. Funny how Facebook does not dispute the designation as a media entity when it's convenient, but then it continues to hide behind 230 protections. But no is not lost this complaint. Let them know that some people and organizations are willing to fight back against the Silicon Valley giants. Be interesting to see how Facebook Incorporated declares its entities and it's going forward in light of this new media determination by the U.S. Federal Elections Committee. They screwed up bad. Because now this means that people now can actually take them to court. Wow. This one's, let's see, coming up on the hour and 7 minutes. I still got some time. I love this one. This is a tweet that I actually grabbed off of Gab and reposted. And the guy is at Mel Gibson Fan 70. And I got to clean it up a little bit. Quote, you've got your 2 shots and you're still wearing a mask and nothing has changed. How stupid do you feel? Well, you don't feel stupid at all. Why? Because you're stupid. Really blanking stupid. I was like, that's hilarious. That is hilarious. Another one. This is another Patriot alert. But so it's confirmed. You can't sue Pfizer, Moderna for severe COVID vaccine side effects. Turns out the FDA's full authorization of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine is not as full as advertised. In fact, it's about as legitimate as being fully vaccinated for COVID-19 despite reportedly needing quote-unquote booster shots. It goes on and on and on and on and on and on. And I gotta tell you, folks, it's this really amazingly disgusting false premise with all this COVID stuff. No matter where you believe in terms of shot, no shot, what have you. But the mere fact that the information that's being posited by the federal government is one day one thing, one day another thing. Duplicitous at the very least. Secondarily, they seem to be just not truthful about certain aspects of those people who are getting sick and passing from it, those people who are getting sick from it, recovering, those people who are getting long-term effects in terms of, vaccination, those people who are suffering major side effects from vaccination, those people who are actually dying from the vaccination. All that information is now being shrouded and shielded and posited as the notion of, well, you just got to get the shot. If you get the shot, everything's going to be fine. Well, okay, but now you still need to wear a mask because potentially you could give it to somebody who's had the shot. What? First off, you said if you get the shot, you're not going to need to wear the mask. Then you said, well, if you get the shot, you still should wear the mask because, oh, yeah, those people who got the shot now are carriers, but they're not going to get sick, but they might make other people sick. Okay, let's be perfectly truthful here. If you got the shot and you're a carrier, you've been mutated. You are now one of those people who is now COVID. Yeah, you're basically the carrier, okay? You're not the problem any longer. No, you are the problem. All right, man, I'll break up with this one. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight, coming up on the 10 o'clock time period. And I know you guys have many other places to go, but you guys hang out with me, and I appreciate your kind attention. So I'll break up. So eat good, keep thundering as always, you know you love it. And this will be posting up. Well, I think I still got what? How many more days left on Facebook? I'm probably like 22 days, 25 days. I don't know. I got damn near a month left on Facebook before I get back and piss off more people. So I'm not doing anything on Facebook at the moment. But whatever. I'll catch you guys later. Have a good weekend and a good week, and I'll catch you guys next week. And I might post up another video. Who knows? I'm having creative moments and stuff happens. See you guys later. And eat good, keep thundering as always, you know you love it. And see you guys next time. And thank you so much for hanging out with me. See you guys.